to the basement. Let's bring up Ryan. 'Cause he's
We
got a
throw
game.
all our parties in basements, by the way. We're classy like that. That's the Italian way to do things, okay? So we have some special guests today. Our first guest is Brian Cashman. I had to get some blue blood in. I had to get some Yankee love because it's always about the Mets with Anthony and Neil. And I'm busy brainwashing my kids to be Yankee
Brian
fans.
has broken my heart. 21 seasons with the Yankees.
Yeah.
Could have been a Met GM, Brian.
He's
Just
always
saying.
on the wrong side of everything.
Right.
Politics, baseball. So he doesn't
Jets,
listen to me.
Jets.
Football, every single thing. So
I was in a house of pain last night, Sid. That was brutal. I was brutal.
it was not a good time there.
Right.
So anyway, we'd like to welcome you up.
Brian Cashman. Brian, sit in the middle. Yeah, make a Mooch sandwich here. Sit in the middle. One in the middle. All right.
Come sit down next to me.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to let Anthony drive this. I'm going to see if he can go out of his comfort zone and talk about the Yanks.
I love it. First of all, I grew up in this town, obviously, so I remember horror.
What town? What town?
I grew up in New York. I'm a baseball fan, and because I was closer to Shea Stadium, we grew up on Long Island. You take the Long Island Railroad right to Shea Stadium, became a Met fan, but always followed the Yankees. 21 seasons. You are the man. 6 American League pennants, 4 World Series, Brian?
I have 5 rings, but 4 of them since I've been GM, yeah.
4 since you've been GM, and the 5th ring was your deputy
I was
GM?
the assistant GM, yeah,
And
under
that was
Watson in 96.
96.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Deirdre's the diehard fan, but I got to ask you like 2 or 3 quick baseball questions before we move on. I know Deirdre wants to talk about the players, but
About what?
No, the players. Like, which were your favorite? I mean, he may not get it specifically who the favorite players are, but
Okay.
all right.
No, I wanted to talk to, like, he could give you tips on how to keep a job longer than 11 days.
give me tips on it.
21 years.
Because he made it 21 seasons. I
what I
couldn't
meant,
even
21
calculate that in like
seasons.
Mooch time. You know what I mean? Because
No.
Mooch units are like 11 days.
He's like living
But-
into
but-
infinity past you. Okay, anyway, go on.
I mean, it's like a full body slam. I mean, it's not even funny. But Brian, you build a team, and there's people out here that are corporate people, all different types of people, and it's sort of all the same thing. So, what are the mechanisms of building a team?
And you got to hire people smarter than yourself and surround yourself with people smarter than you and be willing to listen and open-minded. So I've been
Oh, it sounds like the president.
blessed.
You just described the president of the United States.
I've been blessed. We've had great players, therefore we've had great teams, and it's been a nice run. But we hopefully have a strong finish this year in October.
So it's scouting.
Yeah.
It's player development, obviously.
It's a whole bunch of things. It's player development. You have your amateur domestic scouting, your international amateur scouting. You have your pro scouting. You have your now in this new world tech order analytics. You have performance science teams. You have your mental skills side. I'm the director of spending for the New York Yankees. So I
I'm
certainly
the
have-
director of spending for Scaramucci.
Well, that's for
So
sure.
we're both good at what we do then. So.
I'm like an excellent spender. Amazing.
So we just got to place it in the right spots, and boom, off we go. And so we've got a good shot at some special stuff this October. We hope.
When you think about your different teams, like the '98 team as an example, which was a historic team, how does this team compare to some of the other teams that you've overseen?
I mean, it's
Got a deep bench, obviously, right?
yeah,
You
we
went through-
definitely have a lot of depth. I mean, '98 certainly was special. 125 wins, only 50 losses. It was my first year as general manager, and so it's hard to compare until you finish something off. So right now, regular season-wise, we're going to have another 100-win season, which is remarkable in its own self. But to really truly compare, we have to finish the job, in the next round.
Understand. But talk about team chemistry for a second. When the team's gelling, people get hurt, everyone pulls together, rows together. What are those characteristics that you're looking for? That
our
X factor.
Our manager, Aaron Boone, has done an amazing job by building a culture down there. He's got a real slow heartbeat. He doesn't panic. He's not emotional. So I think our clubhouse reflects his demeanor and the culture he's been pushing. So obviously we've had some devastating injuries throughout the entire year. We've actually, for those who don't follow us, record-setting injuries that have taken out some serious assets along the way that would bring most anybody down, and expectations should be considerably lower. But he never missed a beat. He never showed any panic. He never showed any woes me attitude. It was just more of a next man up and he tapped into the organizational depth and then plug and play and said, hey, we got this, and it's kind of manifested itself throughout the franchise. And so somehow, some way, we've been able to navigate all these waters and have a team right now that's on the verge of winning its first American League East title in the last 7 years and another playoff appearance. And but we've done a lot of good
My wife
things.
is making eyes at me like she's like laughing at me. Like as you're saying all these playoff wins and championships, she's like throwing salt in
No,
my
I
eyeballs.
just feel badly.
want you to know that. You see, you're
No,
looking
it's
over at
okay.
me with.
I asked your
Steve's
wife if we can convert you.
Convert me to
Never.
a Yankee fan?
Yeah.
Never.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
respect that about him because you don't want like a fair.
No, I mean it's
weather.
different from politics. I mean, you have to take the pain as a baseball fan.
No,
In
I don't like
politics, you're
bandwagon people.
This guy's not working. You got to fire the guy. It's like being an entrepreneur.
Well, I came down here to try to convert you. But
You
I
came
guess
down to
it's-
try to
But
convert me?
I'm glad at least I've
You
half the
have
house.
me,
Oh, I'm very-
okay? Don't worry. And
I
my
have the
uncle
director
is here. My
spending on
uncle.
that.
He's the
household.
director in spending. You may be able to pick up some free agents at the rate that she's spending. You could pick up more free
Oh,
agents.
I'm not the spender.
No, here she
FYI.
goes. Here she goes,
So did you see Mariano at the White House yesterday?
I did.
Weren't you happy for him?
I was. He's an amazing individual. I mean, I started with the Yankees back in '86, so I kind of came up in the system with Mo, but I came up through the front office, and he has never changed. That's the one thing you see, at least in my world. I know you see it in your world. A lot of people with fame and fortune become different over the course of time. He'd never changed. He's remained the same person he was when we first signed him for very little. And yes, he's now famous and he's wealthy and obviously well known. But he is exactly who he's always been,
future
and
Hall
that's
of Fame.
special. He's Hall of Famer last year.
You got in
this
last year,
past
that's
season.
right.
Jeter's
That's
going to be in
right,
next
yeah.
year, and but again, he's never been anything but the same guy, despite all the success and the rings that he's brought this city.
I
So
believe that.
There's a little bit of trivia about you. You went to high school with Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. What were they like in
Oh
high
my
school?
gosh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, Lexington Catholic High.
I should probably
Yeah,
read the notes.
Well, I went to, I was in high school in Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky boy, grew up in Lexington, KY, and then I got sent away to boarding school my junior and senior year. So I parachuted into Georgetown Prep in Washington, D.C., and Gorsuch was my classmate, 85, and Kavanaugh was 83. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty tremendous time frame for Georgetown Prep and the products that they produced. And those guys were destined to some greatness, and we felt that as classmates all the way back then, whether it was going to be a senator, a president, Supreme Court justice. But we've been following their careers since they left, and again, they were, obviously amazing individuals and have accomplished a lot.
Okay, so I have a question. What I noticed in the reel that we were listening to, Anthony talks over me all day, every day, on the podcast, at home, in life, in general. So I'm going to ask a question.
All your family members are agreeing. They're over there. Yeah, that's right.
No, it's a real thing. You have to feel me on this. So you got pulled over, or actually like almost arrested in August. Can you tell us that story? Because that must have been horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I'll run through it real
Just
quick.
give us,
So we're
your
playing the
take on
Boston
it.
Red Sox on a weekend series at Yankee Stadium. I live in Rowayton, Connecticut, and we beat the Red Sox, thankfully, the whole weekend. So Sunday morning, I wake up to go grab my convertible Jeep. It was a beautiful morning. I was like, I'm going to drop the top down, get a coffee. No Jeep, gone. So I was like, well, it's obviously been stolen. So I called the police. The Norwalk police come in, file the report. About 3 days later, they recover it, believe it or not, in the Bronx. I work at Yankee Stadium, which is in the Bronx. It was about 4.5 miles away on the east side of the Bronx. And it was recovered, not damaged. So I had to go through the processing with NYPD. And once I did, I retrieved the vehicle. And then driving it back to Connecticut, I get pulled over. I'm at a gas station in Darien, and 5 police cars roll in.
Oh my God.
They ran my tags. It apparently was never taken off the stolen list. And,
Were you at gunpoint?
yeah,
like
5
you
cars
were, right?
rolled in. They pulled gunpoint. The police body cam footage just got it put out there because of the Freedom of Information Act. And yeah, they had executed what they called.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I
that's
used to see
you.
it Brook Street Bagels when I was in East
That's
Chester
you
Cop.
being held up by the
About a
police.
guy with a gun in the doctor's office driving a white Jeep, and then I ran your plate and it came back stolen. So that's why all this.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, no worries.
I
and I
would
didn't
say
want to say it's Brian Cashman
You
over
look
the
pretty
radio.
shady.
You're right.
You know?
So anyway, bottom line, in the end of the day, they were looking for somebody, a white male driving a white Jeep simultaneously with a gun, And when they ran the plates, I had a stolen tag. So then they thought I was that person, and so it was
the
all good.
weird
But I
thing
did
about that
exactly
guy was
what they-
he didn't even know he was doing anything wrong or something. Like he went to the doctor with his gun.
Right.
Well,
So
who does that? I don't know who does that, but
Yeah.
he went to the doctor with his gun, and then he didn't even realize he was like a suspect or something. So he was like two clueless people.
You didn't want to
getting,
pay the copay. That's what we're hearing in the front. So
He didn't have his $20, so he bought his revolver. I don't know, but it was like a weird thing. You both were kind of caught off guard by.
But
it
at
was
the
a
end of the day,
strange weekend.
I would want them to do
Amen.
that
To be-
every
I
time.
understand,
mean, the
I
police
agree.
are doing everything they can to keep us all safe. So they were keeping themselves safe. That's why they had their guns on me. And they were keeping the community safe. So I give the huge applause to them. And I did what they asked me to do. It was all good. I didn't panic. And,
No.
and then I just didn't want the body cam footage coming out. So thankfully, I didn't wet myself.
No, you handled it really well, I have to say.
thank you.
kept it cool.
But knowing your career, knowing New York, you had the body cam footage coming out at like 100%, right?
Well,
Of
you know,
course.
I
Yeah,
was
they-
more worried. There was a Starbucks right next door. It was like 10 in the morning. It was packed. I had my hands in the air, and it was over the intercom of their squad car. Like, get out of the car, hands in the air. I'm like, and I'm more worried about. I'm embarrassed. I wasn't scared. I was embarrassed because I was like, they're thinking, what am I, Pablo Escobar? Am I, I'm like, people know who I am in this town, and they're like, wow, what did Cash do? and so I was more embarrassed, but I let them figure it all out, and it was all good.
Well, we know you have to run to go win another game, right?
Well, amen. Well,
So-
we want you to win. I have to say this. I did not root for the Yankees before 9/11. I was total Met fan, and therefore you had like this whole Yankee envy and everything. After 9/11, I have always rooted for the Yankees, particularly in that World Series with the Diamondbacks. I mean, that was a tough one, actually.
It was tough times. I remember when Giuliani was asking us to do a lot of things, and we were kind of uncertain, like, wow, we didn't feel like we had a part to play, but then we got certainly a lot of education to see how it was a new dynamic to realize how sports does give you a...
It's an outlet.
it's an outlet, you're
Yeah.
right.
It's an outlet.
It definitely distracts everybody from, that happens to be fans, that fandom, because, I remember when my dad he passed away of pancreatic cancer. It allows people that distraction of what troubles them in their lives, and so now you got a real view of what you can do and how you can really impact and change some things along the way. So you got to keep that in mind. And 9/11 obviously impacted so many.
September 10th, 2001, the Yankees were playing the Red Sox, and the game got rained out. And so one of my best friends who lived in my town, had he gone to the full game, he would have taken the 9:30 train in and then gone up to the North Tower, 103rd floor at the World Trade Center. So the game got rained out that night. Clemens was pitching, playing the Red Sox. So he took the 7:30 train, and he died in the North Tower of the World Trade Center. And so it just goes to show you the serendipity and how much we all have to enjoy our lives, because we never know what's going to happen to us. But you've had this amazing career. On behalf of my father-in-law, who would have loved to have met you, he died 5 years ago this month, September 23rd. Die-hard Yankee fan. Am I right, honey?
Yes.
So on
Sorry.
behalf of him, we want to thank you so much for coming down here. And I want the Yankees to win the World Series. Let's go.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Amen. Hey, thank you. Stephen.
Thank you so much. Okay. What should we talk about now that I'm ruining my makeup? Thanks. Is Anthony leaving? I think I'm the more interesting one anyway. What do you guys think?
I can't wait to check the whole thing
This is my life. I'm always waiting while he's taking pictures with other people. Mooch? It's very bad for my ego. No, I'm saying when people ask me to take pictures of you with them. And I'm like, I'm
Not that
cute
bad
too.
for trust me, it's not that
Okay.
bad for ego.
All right, ready? Let's talk
I
about
will
something.
blow you out of the
What-
water.
She has a low ego, Tim? She has a low ego? No,
No,
you've
I'm all
experienced
good,
this
I'm all
woman,
good.
right? It's not a low ego.
Okay, so let's talk
Trump,
about.
like a small pigeon, the self-esteem. This one is totally fine.
Okay.
Okay, good. You're good.
So what do you want? Well, being that he went to school with Kavanaugh, Brian, do you want to talk?
He should stay where he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to talk about Brian Kavanaugh? His name's
Justice
Brian,
Kavanaugh?
right?
I
Oh,
didn't-
Justice, I
didn't-
should call him.
well,
I guess.
I didn't know him, so I don't really have. I didn't have a. But Neil Gorsuch,
No,
I knew.
yeah, but I'm talking
went to
about
law school with Neil.
how Jerry Nadler is telling the Dems to just hush hush and
Okay.
stop talking about him. You know.
Well, look, it's probably politically incorrect, and we'll probably get knocked off of radio.com after I'm done saying all this, but that's
If
fine.
we
I
haven't
mean,
gotten
but,
knocked off yet,
we're
we're
going to
good.
be okay. But I sort of feel that he probably had some transgressions. I don't know. I was not there, but I'm very worried about our children. Can I tell you guys why? Because they're doing stuff, and they're in the age of social media today. And there's a rite of passage that happens in life where people, unfortunately, at age 16, 17, 18, they probably do some really ridiculous, very regretful things. And so now, if we're going to look through a reverse prism of every person's life and we're going to microanalyze everything that they've done, and then all of a sudden that's going to be a reason to disqualify them from life at some point in the future, I'm personally worried about it. And so if that's against the Me Too movement, it's not meant to be. I totally respect women and the Me Too movement, but I am just worried that we're going to do something that could be very, very damaging to our futures and our children's futures, where we don't, who knows? I mean, I really worry about that, so I don't know. What do you think of that? Should we be judging him from
No, I mean, I know I
1981
did a
and-
ton of really dumb things, and I still do. And so I think it's just a tough place
Well,
to
hopefully
live
you're not
when you're.
showing your pee-pee to people or something like that. I mean, like in a, I mean, the
No,
guy-
not
the guy
today.
was apparently showing his pee-pee. I don't know. I don't know if that was. I don't know if that was
People in the
very-
front row are
No, but I'm just saying, I
stunned
don't
into
know if it's
silence.
inappropriate to be showing your pee-pee, but I just think that if you're 17 showing your pee-pee, now you're a Supreme Court justice, let's
Oh,
relax about
Lord.
it. That's just my honest opinion. I don't know.
Okay.
You disagree? Anybody disagree with that?
No, I think we
Okay,
can't
so-
go back in time. I mean, people do really silly things, especially when there's alcohol involved and sometimes when there's not. I mean, look at you.
Look at me, extremely
So-
flawed. But can we talk about Neil Gorsuch for 5 seconds? Because I
Is
think
that
that's
how you say it? Isn't it Gorsuch?
Gorsuch.
Anthony
I think
is
it's
so
Gorsuch.
smart, but he cannot pronounce people's
I
names.
grew up in a family that didn't read. I still don't know how to pronounce things. But Neil was a wickedly smart guy at Harvard and went on to become an amazing judge. And one thing that President Trump, I thought, did a reasonably good job of is he delegated all of the judicial appointments to the Federal Society. And so we had a list of judges that we were going through. And in Neil's case, because I was actually on part of that process, 98% of his court rulings were sustained at the appellate court. So I just want to give you a sense for how hard that is to do.
Nerd alert. Everyone's
Okay,
sleeping.
and the other thing is, people won't listen to me on this, but a guy like Neil Gorsuch is my prediction. If you're worried about social issues like gay marriage or a woman's right to choose, they are now so heavily ingrained in the Constitution. For a guy like Neil, he's not a precedent disruptor like some of these other judicially minded originalists, if you will. So I think you're going to be totally fine. You'll be very happy with him. He just wrote a great book called It's a Republic If You Can Keep It.
Okay, getting back to my speed. So we're going to bring up some guests. Our second guests are Kathy Wakile and Jacqueline
All
Laurita.
right,
We
come
want
on,
you to
guys,
come
come on
up.
up
This
here.
is some Real Housewives alum from New Jersey. Come up, ladies. Join me. Come sit next to me. I can't get up. I might flash my pee-pee. My dress is really short.
It took me so long, I didn't want to give it
I can't wait to
Right.
check
Too.
that thing out.
It's good, my husband's right in front of me, so I'm okay. I'm going to steal this.
Anthony's less threatened by everyone since I chopped my hair off. Okay, so
No, it's
Okay,
hot.
who thinks she looks great with
Oh
the
my
hair?
God,
scary,
sexy.
right?
Come on, it's like a supermodel look.
That's sexy.
is your mic
It's
on?
like a
Test your
supermodel
mic.
look.
Is it? Yeah, it's
Is
on.
this thing
Yeah,
on?
it's
You
on.
can say, is this thing on?
Yeah, there
Right?
we go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they say. When a woman cuts her hair, that's a woman that's determined to rise. She means
Okay,
business.
well, I'm rising.
Yeah.
Like a good set of yeast. Okay.
Does that also mean that she's like determined to drop the husband if the hair gets
No,
cut, or
no,
it's
no,
okay?
no, no, no,
It's
no,
okay?
no.
All right, I'm just
No,
asking.
I'm just trying to
Well, I don't know.
overcome podcast.
You got to
land.
work
We're the
harder to
best.
keep it.
Yeah, you have a
I'm
great
working.
year
I'm
ahead.
working. Before you guys talk about the Real Housewives, has anybody seen this Kentucky Fried Chicken sandwich with the 2 glazed donuts? Has anybody seen this thing?
But they're all
All right,
balancing
so
out.
I had to go on keto after I started the fight with Trump because I don't want him to call me a fat slob on like Twitter. But how hot is that? All right, I mean, you guys are young guys. We got to order a couple of these. All right, go ahead. You
say
talk
that
about
the
whatever you
Popeyes-
want. I just
the
thought I would bring
Popeyes
that up.
chicken
I've never
sandwich
seen
is
anything
sold
like
out,
this in my
too.
life.
It is, I know.
It's a glazed donut.
Anthony,
with a-
just so you know, you're talking over now our guests.
Okay,
so
sorry.
it's not only me.
I'm the same way. I'm so
Actually,
impulsive.
so-
So I'm going to talk over him too.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah, we're used to that.
Girl squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to get booted.
Yeah.
All right. So these ladies are joining the radio.com family with their own podcasts. And so we wanted to introduce them and tell all about what you guys are up to, your new venture. So do you want me to talk or do you want to talk? You guys talk.
So
You're used to this.
okay.
I got,
not really,
you know,
but okay.
you're
so,
professionals behind the camera or in
Yes.
front of the camera,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my new podcast is called Eat, Live, Love, Indulge with Kathy Wakile. That's me, and it's all about the conversations we have around the table, whether it be around the table on location, but it's the food that we're eating, and food is a common denominator in all of our lives. It brings us all together, and so it's really about the conversations while we're traveling, or it could be, your family discussions around the table and what comes up. So I'm making some really good food, serving some great drinks.
Did you make those
and
cannolis?
I did. I filled them all earlier before I
I'm
came.
going to have one after this.
Yeah, definitely. So grab a
So
cannoli,
good.
guys, before they're all gone. They're so yummy. And so it's been a lot of fun so far, and I hope you guys tune in.
When does this
you know-
all kick off?
So we kicked off, my first intro was last week, and this week was a supplement, a second episode. And my husband and I go to Portugal and Spain, and so we talk about that trip and our food and our travels and how we travel and what brings us to these locations. It's usually we go where the good food is.
The food,
Yeah.
right.
And you guys
Exactly.
have good banter like these two
Yeah.
right here.
Well, that's the thing.
So-
When you do it with your spouse, it's
Yeah.
fun because
Yeah.
it's like a comfort zone,
It
and they get
is.
to hear your dynamics.
It is.
And
it
you
is.
guys have some seriously good dynamics.
We do.
right?
Thank God. I mean, at the end of this month, it'll be 28 years. Yeah, 28 years together. Yeah.
That's all right.
It's all good.
Anthony
babe.
has grays too, but he dyes it.
This is Latin American dictator Brown. Sid, since you don't dye your hair, I can give you all the tips that you need.
Sid dyes his eyebrows.
That's good.
So
Thank
Just
God you
saying.
just said the eyebrow. Thank God you started there and ended there. Oh my God.
no, I don't go below the belt. Okay,
All right.
and so all right, I love food, so that's exciting to me. And
Yeah.
Anthony and I actually did like a cooking show once for Fox Nation.
That's fun.
That was fun. So it was
Yeah,
like delving
it
into
is.
your territory.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun. I learned a long time ago that when you learn how to cook and you're good at it, you always have friends.
I know.
And
you
it's
know-
not even the cooking with you.
Yeah.
Your display is
And
beautiful.
yeah, for me, it's
a whole
an
presentation.
extension. Yeah, it's just I love it to look pretty because you eat with your eyes
Oh,
first.
of course. Yeah.
And so I like to do theme nights where I'm making everything Italian, and then I'll play the music and the wine and the whole bit. Or we'll do, my husband's Lebanese, so we'll do a Middle Eastern night, and so it's that whole thing. I'll do Mexican, I'll do Latin, all different things. So it's a lot of fun, and I like to get into it and talk about our travels at the same time. So
It
it's really
sounds good. Everyone needs to
Yeah.
tune in. And you need to have my aunt as a guest. She's an amazing cook and
Oh, I would
bake and
love
chef
that.
and
I would
everything. She's
love that.
amazing.
Yeah.
We've been kicked off of Fox now. I'm sorry.
Right,
You
so
know. It was looking good over there until we started fighting with the Orange Man. Go ahead.
until he said I was crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. It always
I mean-
comes back to Trump,
No,
the
I'm
end
just
of
saying
the
that
day.
we can't get the cooking show anymore. But
Stable
that's fine.
genius.
the stable genius. Yes. Okay, so Jack, tell us what your stuff is about.
Okay, so my podcast is called The Lookover Ladies, and it's me and a couple of my girlfriends, and it's sort of our platform to just let loose and talk about things that women love to talk about. We all have backgrounds in beauty, health, wellness, fashion, and we touch on all that, but then we always go off on tangents and just start talking random, sometimes inappropriate things that girls like to talk
So,
about.
like, what's an inappropriate thing? Go ahead. They're just
I don't
inquiring
know. We
minds. wanna
talk
know.
about
Something
let's
inappropriate,
see. Something
like
inappropriate,
sexual
like
or something like that.
okay, all right.
Sex or something?
How pleasurable bidets can be sometimes.
Like you're having sex in the afternoon? What do you mean?
No,
like
by
pleasurable?
yourself on the bidet.
By yourself.
Oh, wow.
No.
You need to have Anthony as a guest.
No,
He specializes in that.
Melissa just discovered the bidet, and she was explaining
I
how.
thought you said you weren't going below the belt. I mean, that was like, it was right in
You,
the
not our guest.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No, they just go off on tangents, just things like that.
No, that's what makes
Sometimes it's
people listen, though.
inappropriate.
Honestly, people listen when there's something
So
that
true.
they
See, for me-
are hearing that they're like, "Oh my God,
can
that has
relate to.
shock value," but I'm thinking
Yeah.
that, but I'm not saying it.
Right.
So they'll listen to that.
Yeah. So for me, my life is very autism focused. I have a son with autism. I help families that are affected by autism all the time. I'm coach them into leading healthier and happier lives, and that's what I do all day long. Emails and connecting with these families. So this is sort of it was sort of my life before the diagnosis and things that I was passionate about, and this is my kind of release to like let go of all that and just be a girl.
Yeah,
and
well, this
like
is you.
Girls
This
Gone
is
Wild.
you. Yeah, this is you as
your life.
like this is Jack.
Yeah.
Can I,
Yeah. So
can
not
I
as a
ask
mom, not as an
Jackie just a
autism
quick question? So,
advocate.
because I know you do a lot of holistic nutrition and a lot of awareness about that, but do you think that the diet has a positive impact on your son? Because some people,
With my
Gotcha.
son, absolutely. I saw a huge change in him with diet for
so
sure
that would
and
be like
supplementation.
less sugar and things like
Like
that, or what would be
gluten-free,
example?
casein-free, soy-free, limited sugar, cutting out the additives, food additives, and anything artificial, things like that. With my child, some people, every child's different, so everybody responds differently. But from what I've seen and from most of the families that I speak with, when they do this diet with their children, I see remarkable changes in them. Speech coming, different, it's amazing watching the progress of the kids. So I think it's really important.
I
So
just think
I-
it's a
oh,
big
I'm
contrib-
sorry.
No, I
Go
just think
ahead.
it's a big scientific contribution to the awareness of the disease, the nutrition aspect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead, hon, I'm sorry.
No, I wanted to say that I was looking you up, and I know that you've had some trials and tribulations with your daughter as well.
I
So
have, yeah. And thankfully, she's doing great. She's 25. She just got engaged last week.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
He looks really nice.
He's
too.
a sweetheart. He's actually a Jersey City firefighter. So she's a 2-time brain tumor survivor.
Right.
She was born with the cells for the brain tumor, and it surfaced at 10 years old. So she had her first brain surgery when she was 10. We were on the beach, and she never showed any signs of anything wrong, no learning disabilities, anything like that. It turns out she had a benign astrocytoma, and the only reason why it surfaced was because it was blocking off passageway, fluid.
Fluid.
So she passed out. She fainted on the beach, and we took her to the ER down in Florida because we were on vacation. And they did all the protocol, and they were ready to send her home. And then the doctor she was an angel, and she just said, "You know what? Let's take a look. One more thing I want to do." And that's when they found it, and we were shocked, totally shocked. And then 10 years later, fast forward, she was in nursing school. She decided to go that career path because she wanted to give back. And she felt a really strong connection to helping others and being that person, the person that comforted her during her
showed
time.
her empathy
Yeah.
and- yeah.
And so she was feeling like maybe that wasn't the career path for her because she couldn't concentrate, she couldn't focus in school. And it turns out 10 years to the day, her anniversary, she ended up back in the hospital, and a slight little bit of it had grown back. But thank God it's benign. And she's doing great, and she's feeling great, and she's still in nursing school. She has 2 more semesters left, and she'll be done. So, yeah.
Seeing your kids not well
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
hardest
that's
thing,
the
and I
hardest thing for
appreciate that
anyone.
struggle for you every day. I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
it's hard,
It does
but
put your whole life into perspective.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your priorities, what's important, and that's kind of like the feeling of my podcast too. It's about living life to the fullest and enjoying every day. When it's a good day, we have a saying in our house that's grab the good. Today's a good day, let's just go do it. And you know what? Maybe it's not the right time, but it is the right time. Let's just do it.
Yeah, you live. You have to live.
You have
right?
to live. Yep.
But these kind of things teach us to live, and
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, yeah.
they're gifts in
Absolutely.
small ways, but it's hard. Okay, well, I know I'm going to be tuning in, right?
Yes.
Hopefully,
Exciting stuff.
maybe you'll
Awesome.
have me on as a guest.
I
I
would
like to
love
cook,
that.
and I
I would
like to
love that.
talk
You have to
about
come and
nonsense
cook. Yeah.
and girl stuff,
Love
Yeah.
that.
aside from being a mom. So anytime you want me, I'm available.
Okay. I will.
Right?
stuff,
Is
yeah.
Anthony
I-
like texting or something? Oh, he hasn't
No,
ADD'd out on us? Okay.
Finally, letting you talk. You just yelled at me 15 minutes.
Do you
I
have
talk
any
over you.
questions for this?
You should
I'm
talk.
listening very carefully. No, the brain tumor thing is one of the most shocking things ever because my dad had one. It was a benign brain tumor, thank God, and he was operated on 2002, so it's 17 years later, and he's still with us. But I can only say this to people, like, they have to raise the awareness of these brain issues because they are accelerating. Now, it may or may not be the cell phone. I'm not a scientist, but there are more brain disease, brain disorders, brain tumor issues now than there were 50 years ago. It could be the diet, Jackie. I don't know exactly what it is.
It plays
but
a big part.
It plays a big part.
Yeah.
So raising awareness of this, and I've spent a lot of time, and Deirdre and I do this conference out in Las Vegas. We brought a MRI facility out there, and we did early detection awareness. And unfortunately for these issues, and thank God you were on top of this,
Right.
the way that you save people's lives is catching it early.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Early
and so-
detection.
And the thing
now.
is, especially with children, it's so hard because, I had gone to the doctor previously before she was diagnosed with the tumor that she was suffering from headaches. But she was 10 years old. The doctor kept saying it was hormonal. Does it go away? Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything to worry about. And she didn't have any learning disabilities, motor skill issues, or anything like that. So when it's your children, they go undiagnosed, unfortunately, until it, to the point where it's almost too late.
Yeah,
And
if
for
you're-
my daughter, thankfully, it was benign, and it was in an area where they could get at it. They couldn't take it all out, of course, because it was attached to some, vital brain function. But it's really, really important to pay attention to the signs, and really important
Any
to raise
body
awareness
change.
because
Be an
we were
advocate
so
for your
lucky.
child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were so lucky that we were in Florida, but we had some friends that were doctors living in New Jersey, and I just called him right away. And we were lucky to have the resource of that friend that said, okay, you're going to get her home, and I don't care what you do. So we chartered a medical jet because they told us in Florida that we couldn't transport her. And we were set to operate the next day in Florida. But when we got her home, we saw the doctor at Columbia Presbyterian at the Children's Hospital, and he was the chief of pediatric neurosurgery. And he says, I'm telling you right now, 99%, just judging by her films, this is benign. So let's just get in there, do what we have to do, and she'll be okay. He couldn't say she'll be okay, but he said it's benign. So I don't know what they
Thank
told
God.
you in Florida, because they did. They told me that in some cases these could be benign. So I think that's really important. We're very lucky living in the tri-state area that we have those resources, but
Thank God.
there's so many people that are living in the middle of the country or in the south, or they don't have the same resources that we do, and we see the same cases that we do. We're fortunate enough to be, around. So
Right, but the
it's
number
about
one
raising
bottom
awareness,
line
yeah.
is if you have that instinct or that
Yeah.
mother's intuition or parents' intuition,
Absolutely.
you have to go with it and be their advocate, even if you
Exactly.
feel like you're being pushy.
Exactly.
You need to, because most of the time when something's wrong with your kid.
because their voices aren't heard.
No,
So yeah.
But you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, on a little bit of change of topic, but you moved to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So we do our conference in Vegas. So hopefully you'll come
Oh,
see us.
Like I said.
But how is it? Do you like it?
I love it. And I think, I lived there before, but I think a lot of it has to do with I have a lot of family there. My parents are there, my brother, my nephews, my cousins, their kids. I have friends there. So to me, that makes a big difference. It's
support
been my
and-
husband's
yeah.
family mostly. He's got a brother there that he's also in business with, but it's nice having my family around now.
Yeah, definitely.
know?
They help
So I
you a
think
lot, right?
That and the weather's great. And
I know.
Everything's low. There's
No
so much to
humidity.
do in a short space. I haven't even been to the Strip since I lived there.
Well-
Everything's on the outskirts.
Yeah, you don't really need to go there. It's
Yeah,
kind of like,
that's where you go when guests come to visit.
yeah, you bring them there. And But your
Yeah.
hair always looks good there.
Yeah, it stays straight. If I blow dry it straight. Here it's like starting to get all frizzy. What's happening?
I gotta ask Justice Gorsuch if his hair looks good there. So let me ask you guys a question though. It's your quiet time. You're not working. No podcast. No production. What do you like doing? Like, what is your thing that you would do?
Well, since the show, because I help a lot of families affected by autism, I went and got certified as an integrative health coach, and also studied functional medicine and toxicity, and got my autism mastery. And so with that information, I'm just doing more of that. And the rest of the time, I'm being a mom. I'm doing the podcast, and that's pretty much
Just being you.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy a lot. My
Can I
days go
ask
by
you
very
guys a
fast.
question, selfishly? Did I dodge a bullet with the Housewives?
think you
thing?
did.
You
I think you
yeah,
did.
well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it depends.
Just,
You have
just
to,
curious.
I heard that rumor that
Yeah.
maybe
It
you
was the-
would you have done
the
it?
good old
I
New
think
York
I
Post
dodged
again.
the bullet. I don't know about her. I totally dodged the
Well,
bullet.
you know what the hardest
Yeah.
part is? I mean, there's so many things involved with it, but
Fortunately, I got hit in the head with a White House bullet, but
right,
I
that's
dodged
the
that
same
one.
thing.
Self-inflicted.
No, it's like that love. The people that watch it's they have that love-hate
Right.
relationship. So you're getting a lot of love or a ton of hate. I think you've already
Yeah.
felt that,
Same in
Right.
politics.
right?
I'm feeling
Yeah.
it from the same people.
So if you're,
Those-
you
The
get
people
numb.
that love me now hate me. The people that hate me now love me.
Right,
It's
you
very
get numb
weird.
to
It's
that
fine.
after a while, and then it becomes almost humorous, and then you like to play with those people.
Sometimes, or you just
Well,
don't read the
that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, a healthy
You
way to
have-
look
right.
at it, or else you
You
go insane.
can't let it
right?
get to you because you have to focus on the people that are in your daily life, the people that surround you, that you spend your most time with. You know, the people on the outside that are saying things about you, can't let that bother you, because some people just like to say things in social media because they think it's funny for someone
They
else
wanna
to
get your
hear.
attention, too.
Right.
Not even just to get your attention, but if
reaction.
I say this, other people will laugh. You know, it's
Yeah.
not even really that personal sometimes. You know,
Right.
but people just like to. You know, to get it's just they just let loose on there, but they won't say it to your face mostly.
What do you?
No.
No one's
Yeah.
ever been mean to my face.
No, that's true.
I have
Let's
to
be a
say.
little mean then, just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
What do you think of Sean Spicer on Dancing with Stars? Just out of curiosity.
You dodged that bullet too. I can't
No,
imagine
they-
you in a
I
lime
said
green
no to
fluffy
that. No, come on, I have
you have done?
self-awareness. No, I
Seinfeld
said-
top.
You have
I said
self-awareness.
no to that.
You have self-awareness?
Well, I have a lack of self-awareness, but
I was
I
like,
must have got hit on a rock the day that came up. Okay, all right.
Awesome. You should have done that.
what would our
Spicer on
lives have
Dancing with
become
the
if he
Stars.
did Dancing with the Stars
And
and
you
I
were a
did that? And the
housewife.
I don't know what would
There-
happen there.
Well, I didn't want to
One
do
of-
it, but my husband would have loved to do it.
What,
Loved
Dancing
to
with
do
the
it. Yeah, he
Stars?
would have loved to do it.
So
Not so much the leotard part, but he would have loved to do it.
the whole everything else
Yeah.
but the leotard.
Yeah.
No underwear, no thong.
Once I realized what Housewives was, I really didn't want to do it, but I was stuck in.
It
a
was
contract.
too late.
I was,
Well,
it was too late.
I
I was already
mean-
pregnant, if you know
Well,
what I mean.
I thought when we went on, it was just about our families, and then I didn't know what was coming. It was always like, okay,
You were
what's
always
going
looking over
on?
your shoulder.
Yeah.
You're
So
like
what-
paranoid, like,
oh,
who's coming
really?
at me?
Yeah, I had watched, but
That's not
I
good.
really just thought that I took it that reality meant reality.
Right.
So you just go about your life.
Not their version
It's
of reality.
right.
It's not
Yeah.
scripted, but it's
Exactly.
produced.
Exactly.
You put in
Yeah, and
situations
it's
you
their
wouldn't normally
version.
put yourself in.
Well, the
Right.
good thing about it is you both made it out
we
alive.
made it out
We
alive.
did, thank
and
God.
you have your own brands now,
Yeah, we do.
and which are positive, and you know,
So if you use it for something positive,
it's
like
a platform
that,
to
it's
do
great.
something good.
Exactly.
and you
That's what-
both made it out with,
that's
you know,
what-
If you don't let it get to your head either.
Yeah, that was
No.
the good thing
Well, you
that came
guys
out
did
of it
not.
for me was the
No.
platform it gave me to raise awareness for autism and take action in that and helping other families.
Good for you.
That was the best thing that came out of it.
well, I'm happy for you. Now you can move on and be doing your own thing and have your own platform.
Now we're
and
here
do what
with
makes
you
you happy.
guys.
Yeah. And I
That's
didn't
really
get
great.
roped into it, so we're good to go. And so we're gonna tune in and listen to you guys, and
Thank
we
you.
thank you for flying over here, flying up here, flying out here, and being with us, and at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. And that's
Thank
it. Do you have
you.
anything to say?
No, you're beautiful.
Yeah, we guys, we
Well,
we
I-
love.
Keep
I
up
love
on- I
listening
love
to
your
your
work.
Thank you
podcast.
You
for
like the
coming.
hair? The hair is great, right?
I think it's so sassy.
Anthony doesn't like my hair, but he's lying. And so
I
do
like
I.
it.
It's like unbelievable.
It's
I
fine.
like it. You,
like
you have
that.
that face. You could do anything you want.
Thanks.
I-
I
I said
appreciate
I'm-
Guys
that.
like the long hair. Is that what it is? What is
Guys
it?
like
I
long
think,
hair.
I think
Unbelievable.
that's
If I'm
so
being-
sexy.
This is like fake news. Okay, I actually like the hair.
Fake
I said that I love the hair.
It's
She shows up with the
You
hair.
are
The hair
fake
looks
news.
stunning.
You
Fake-
know what,
Yeah.
Anthony? The
Here's
good
the
thing
thing.
about it is
Yeah.
it takes less time to do and more
love
time
it.
to spend with
Hey,
you.
amen.
The good thing
Thank
about
you,
it
Kat.
is it grows
Thank
back.
you, Kathy. That's good.
So
But here,
anyway, on and up.
Thank you.
here's the thing.
What?
Okay. The best thing that ever happened to me, that one right there.
Oh, thanks.
And that's the truth.
He's good.
And again, I'll have
Keep
flowing
her.
locks one day to make you
Keep her.
happy again. All right, so we are going to get on to some real news. Do you want to sit with us, or do you want to go back to your man? And
Where are they
your
going to
re-
sit?
Well, you
go
could
back
sit
and
with us and
You
talk
got
about
so many friends here.
vaping.
Let's give a
I
shout out
mean,
to let's give a shout out
Oh,
to
yeah,
Dolores.
look, you have
She showed up.
some fellow alum.
Thank you for coming.
So we're going to talk about a news topic because that's what we do. But I guess this
You're
week we're
welcome to
talking
hang
about.
out and chime
No,
in,
we're going to
though,
talk
yeah.
about vaping because it's
Okay.
appropriate for
Vaping.
them
Good.
too.
Yeah, that's really good.
So what do you think
Nightmare.
about this whole vaping nightmare?
Someone just asked me to endorse a vaping.
Oh, you
thing, and
cannot do
I
that.
did say no.
Oh, you have to say no because kids like it. It's like flavored, and I see it all over the place. It's in every what do you want to call it? Like corner store, whatever you want to call
It's
them.
everywhere.
And
Convenience store.
Convenience store. And I think it's terrible because it's like, oh, I'm going to have a mango whatever. And they're all getting lung infections and they're getting sick. And it's
And
like
it's
a
really
masked
But wait, how does that compare to
cigarette.
the hookah?
To who? A hookah?
Well, the way I look
I
at
don't
a
know.
hookah, you can't stick it in your purse.
Well,
Not
nobody's
that I'm
walking around on
condoning
the
it.
street with a
Exactly.
hookah. They would look
Right,
insane.
Right. So that's the thing there. You can only do it. You can't.
You do
bring
that when you
hot
go to like
coals.
a bar
Exactly.
for a hookah.
Right.
Right.
You know,
So that's
Vegas
the only
has a lot of those.
consolation because I could say, my kids, they do smoke hookah, and up to every now and again I'll catch a vape from my son, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this got to stop, and I keep sending him.
Oh, the
keep sending
articles.
all the articles.
That's
okay,
what we
Mom,
do.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's over. I quit. I'm not doing it anymore. That's it. And you have to keep on your kids. He's 23 years old, and I don't really give a shit. You have to still stay on your kids no matter what.
He's young. You have
Yeah.
to stay on them.
Yeah, it's not like he's an adolescent. He's a grown man.
No, but you
and
still have to
keep
steer
on.
them
I
in
don't
the right
care.
direction.
I will wear the title helicopter mom for sure, always, every day, all the time.
Well, now they call it snowplow. Like you don't even helicopter. You just plow the way
Oh, no,
for
that'd
them.
be
And
my husband.
oh, okay. So you're the
Yeah.
snowplow. You're the helicopter.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more
Okay.
delicate
You guys
in
have
my
it covered.
approach. Yeah,
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
the slow plow.
I mean, I don't. California, New York is trying to totally get rid of it. I feel like I read about Gavin Newsom every day, but he's saying that he can't get rid of it. It's not his he doesn't have the power to do that, which I don't get why. But New York is getting rid of it, and I'm happy because I don't want
Yeah.
my son rolling up to the convenience store and saying, "Can I have like a watermelon vape thing?" Because he doesn't know any better. I mean, he's
Right.
5. Hopefully, he's not doing that. But well, then we'll have some real problems. Yeah.
He's gonna roll up with his big wheel.
He has a bit, yeah, with his training wheels. But no,
But
I
time
mean, I'm
passes
just
quick.
saying that
Yeah,
it's going to go
turns
from
on
that to
line
the next thing. So I hope they do something about it because we have enough problems.
Me too.
But I mean, that just goes back to the whole gun thing and all that. We have so many problems. We don't need to worry about an extra thing, a vape. So, you have any opinion, Anthony? So quiet.
No, I'm listening. I hate it. I mean, my thing is that there's just not a lot of science on how damaging it is. And so there are certain companies that are saying that their delivery system is less damaging. The people that are getting very sick are from the rogue companies where they're not really regulated and they're manufacturing these things in their homes and things like that. But even still, I think you have to raise awareness. I mean, the one problem that the society, again, my personal opinion, we have this whataboutism in our society now, right? So if you bring up the vaping, someone will say, well, what about the mass murders and literally the domestic terrorism, or what about this, or what about that? And I sort of think we got to get to what is ism, like what is ism, and just focus on each issue one at a time, not conflate the issues, and say, okay, this is what we have to do. And we're so focused on left-leaning policies or right-leaning policies. How about right or wrong policies?
Exactly.
And forget about left and right. Like, what is the best thing to do for the society? And so when are we going to collectively move? Because many people, unfortunately, are very indifferent to the political process. We got a mayor in New York City. I think the guy is an unmitigated disaster. I don't know how you guys feel. The guy's ridiculous. 0% rating as a presidential candidate. You walk down the street, it's filthy. No one's doing better. I can't find anybody in New York City that likes the guy. But we have these left-leaning policies. Okay, so again, I don't think the right-leaning policies are the answer either, but just right or wrong policies. If the vaping, we don't know enough science about it, put it on hold. I'm a libertarian by nature. If you want to vape and it's safe, I mean, it's not going to kill you the moment you smoke it, you want to do that to yourself and your body, I sort of feel like, okay, what can I do? I'm not in the nanny state business. The flip side is, and everybody in this room probably knows this, but the sugar industry prevented the Obama administration, maybe you know this from your nutrition background, from putting the carbohydrates and the recommended daily allowance together. So a soda can is about 150% of the sugar that you're supposed to have in the day. But if you go look at the soda can, you see the number of grams of carbohydrates, but you don't see the percentage component. That's because the special interest groups within the sugar lobby beat down the Obama administration, went after 2 or 3 congressmen that were supporting it, got them unelected, and the Obama administration capitulated. And I'm not blaming the Obama administration. Believe me, it's the Trump administration, the Bush administration, the Clinton. I'm just saying it's a system that is really not serving the public anymore. It's a morosely broken system.
And that's where I think that us as parents have to come in and really be that helicopter mama, be that snowplow dad. You have to be there doing your part too. Because a lot of times that stuff's getting lost at home.
Uh-huh. Yep.
All right. Well, we're gonna call Sid Rosenberg.
I thought
the
he left. Did
legendary.
he
No,
leave?
he's right here. He's
Oh, I
eating.
thought he was like,
He's
forget
enjoying
this, I'm
himself.
out of
He's
here.
having food. All right,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're gonna call the legendary Sid Rosenberg up.
The
Talk a
legendary.
little bit of talk radio, sports, and policy. But you guys are doing. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
in.
you, ladies.
I'm looking
Thank
forward
you
to the
so
podcast.
much.
Good luck to you guys. We're so
Thank you. I
happy.
can't wait to listen to your
And if you-
podcasts.
If you order Deirdre a vodka martini, like a.
Who are
during
you
the
talking to?
Yeah, a dirty
Huh?
get her a dirty martini before she comes on your podcast. It'll be like, it'll be more interesting. Yeah, trust me. All right,
Then it gets crazy. Things get
come
crazy.
on, go in the middle, bro. Go in the middle.
What is the skin product that I use?
So, hi, Sid.
Hi, how are
How
you?
you doing?
So I got to tell you,
Yeah. What is this
I'm-
thing like? You
I'm-
have like
what's that?
a napkin in the pink.
I
is
know.
that like a
I'm
look?
from Brooklyn. I have no
Oh,
class.
I don't know.
So I'm a huge baseball fan. So Brian Cashman being here was a big deal, even though I'm a Met fan. But I got to tell you, to Kathy and Jacqueline, I am addicted, and Anthony knows this, to the Bravo channel. I watch every Real Housewives, whether it's Atlanta, New York, New Jersey. I was filling your husband in on the New York girls when the rumors were you were going to that show.
Oh,
They
okay.
all hate me because I like Trump. But the New Jersey girls, Teresa's been on my show a million times.
Right, they're from a different political spectrum
Right.
than the New York girls. Yeah, the New Yorkers are always liberals.
Yeah,
But
they hate
yeah,
me.
I mean, I'm glad that you like that. Anthony likes E. He prefers E, Entertainment Network.
like E.
Like Kardashian,
I like that.
that
That's a good show.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
show.
the
He never
I like their
misses.
skin products and plastic surgeon. Don't
He
don't
likes
judge
botched.
me, okay?
I slather it
He has a
on.
perfect nose, so he likes to watch those shows where everyone has bad noses like me.
I like them too.
So what do you guys want to? What do you guys talk about on your show? I mean, you have had me on your show, but we talked about like silly stuff. So what do you?
Right.
What do you and like cerebral people like Anthony talk about when he comes on your show?
Well, this is different. Usually Anthony is on our show, and you've been on as well on Wednesdays, and I interview Anthony. Now
So
we've
now we're
kinda-
in the reverse.
We turn the tables,
So-
yeah.
So I want to.
We have to ask
some
probing
questions.
questions.
Well, we talk about Trump. I work with a guy that loves Donald Trump. As Anthony and Deidre, you know, Bernard loves him, formerly the Imus in the Morning Show. He can do no wrong. I'm more of down the middle. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I thought he ran one of the most childish and dumbest campaigns I'd ever heard. He said two things: we're going to build a wall and something else. I don't know. But I got to the point where I started to like Donald Trump, even though I didn't vote for him. And I still do. I mean, I agree with a lot of things that Anthony says about Donald Trump. Some of the critiques I do agree with. But in the end, I can never see myself voting for a Joe Biden
Right.
or a Liz Warren or a Kamala Harris. So even with all of his warts, and he's got plenty, he's going to be my guy in 2020 unless somebody really amazing comes along.
Right, but
Okay,
I like
so
how
let-
you actually point out his stuff. Like you're like me, so you like this, but you don't like that, and then you'll say you don't like that. You're not like this blind allegiance where you say, "Oh, that's amazing," even
No.
though it's the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
It's
And-
true.
Right?
Yes, you're
So
right.
That's
And-
what I like about you. I see
Well,
your Twitter feed, and I'm
thank
like, yes,
Yeah.
thank God. There's somebody that sees him for who he is, rights and wrongs, and all the things.
Well, you know
in
what it is,
between.
Deirdre? Political fans are like sports fans. Like, I've got friends who love their baseball team, their football team, and they love them no matter what. And every once in a while, you have to come to the realization, the Knicks suck. It's just the way it is.
Right.
I love them, but they suck. You can't go on and go, no, they're good. They lost 65 games. So there's nothing wrong with loving somebody, some team, some person.
Okay, but let me
admitting
challenge
their
that for a second,
faults.
because it's a sports team and it's entertainment. But when the president sucks, and you're really evaluating him, you're looking down in a very detailed policy situation, and you know everybody in the cabinet, and you know that the cabinet officials saying he can't manage a process and he can't go from point A to point B, or he can't get people in a room and develop a consensus, or he has no intellectual curiosity, so he won't read this. And you have a Saudi Arabian airstrike that just took place, and you know that the Russians are involved with the Iranians, and they were teamed up with the Turks this afternoon talking about rewriting the Syrian constitution. And you know from everybody in the Pentagon, because you've been on troop support missions all over the world, you've been to Afghanistan and Iraq, and you've worked with all these people, and you know that he's destroying the hard and soft power of the United States while we're sitting here right now. And he's devolved the United States from its superpower existence 2.5 short years ago into allowing all these regional powers to create their own micro arms races. And he acts like a complete bully to everybody
You've
in
now
this
entered
civilization.
therapy for Anthony.
I'm just asking.
He's
I'm
venting.
just asking a question. So, what do you say to all that?
A lot of that is true. I mean,
If he can remember any of it.
Look, a lot of that is true. Now, look, I knew a lot of those things about Donald Trump before. I'm not really all that surprised about the things that Donald Trump does. I don't set my hair on fire. I don't get crazy because I kind of knew these things. I've always kind of looked at them like.
Your hair? No offense. but-
Well, I did have hair at one
Oh,
point,
okay.
just like your husband. But well, thank you for that. So, so I don't get all that surprised. I don't get all that upset because I knew coming in this was going to be the case. Look, he is a bully. There's no question about it. But I will take that over the feckless leadership I had for 8 years with the guy before him. When I have to watch Americans get killed abroad, and I would watch Obama, the first thing this guy would say is, now we're going to get him. Whether you get him or not, the first thing he would say is, hey, be nice to your Muslim friends. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. So he's a bully. He says the wrong things. He has done some of the things you've talked about. But still, there's something about this guy that for me, and I don't love him, but for me has restored some type of, I'm beating my chest because I'm American. I didn't feel like that with Barack Obama for 8 years. I really didn't.
Okay, let's talk about the Saudi situation for a sec, and then we'll drink heavily. That's what we're probably going to do after this. But let's talk about the Saudi situation for a second. So you got airstrikes.
Yep.
It's likely that the Houthis did create those airstrikes, and there's a very strong possibility, no one's talking about it on TV right now, but there's a strong possibility that they ship the drones into Saudi, and they deliver those drones to the Shias, who, remember, 23% of the population in Saudi is Shia, and those drones lifted off from Saudi airspace into those refineries. Okay, you realize that this is a nightmare going on, right?
No, I do realize this.
So, okay, and the president, go ahead. So
Well,
what do you?
let
What
me
do
ask you this. Let me ask you this. First
so the
of
fact
all,
that there's no national security process anymore, and he has a very stable brain, and he's a stable genius, and he said he doesn't need a national security advisor because he's going to make all the decisions anyway.
well, I mean,
And
Pompeo's
he's-
going to make some of those decisions too.
he's-
That's.
But I know. Ask Secretary Pompeo if he
Well,
makes
let me
any
ask
of
you
those
this. Let me
decisions.
ask you this.
You know,
Look,
we
first
got-
of all,
you gotta, you know,
the
I'm just saying,
drone,
so
the drone thing
you're okay
scares.
with him running the whole process himself?
No, I'm not okay with it.
After Eisenhower, through Reagan, Johnson,
No.
Nixon, everybody set up a national security apparatus and a protocol to defend and protect the citizens of the United States, but you're okay with him ripping that entire thing up, throwing it in the garbage and saying, look, I'm a very stable genius. I'm the smartest person here, and so I'll call the shots and make all the decisions in a vacuum. And by the way, I'm not going to read anything that my intelligence service puts in front of me.
Listen,
you're okay with it?
I'm not okay with
I
it.
just want to make sure that I understand where we are.
But he doesn't play nicely with his friends. We know that already. Who knows better than you? I mean, this guy goes through people in that White House. He's on his 4th national security advisor, right? I mean, if he even has a 4th, he is going through people at an unprecedented rate. He likes to do things by himself. This is not anything new. Now, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in his position, and you laid it out perfectly between the Saudis and the Houthis and the Iranians, what would you do? See, what I'm really afraid of, above and beyond this, is the drones that did this attack. What is going to stop some crazies here in the United States, some terrorists here in the United States, from using those drones to bomb us?
Okay. It's too long of a conversation, but I just say this, okay, because I've really tried to study the thing. I wasn't a fan of the Iranian deal and the nuclear deal, but this is the first time in U.S. history where an American president abrogated his predecessor's deal without any diplomatic thought process and without any corollary or ancillary plan.
It's a bad deal, though. I don't care.
Okay, but you say that, but there was a 3 to 5 year period of time under the
Anthony's
deal.
drawing stick figures on his.
No, I'm just I'm drawing so I don't bite the pen. Okay,
Okay.
I'm just saying there was a 3 to 5 year time period during the deal where had he had given it a little bit of time, he could have come up with a secondary plan, Sid.
Well, I can tell
you
you
would
this.
not be in the situation. The number one job in that position, frankly, is to make sure all regional areas of the world are de-escalating. If you want to study it over a 75-year period of time, we're not that much smarter than our grandparents. And guys like George Marshall and Dean Atkinson, the goal was to make sure that we had regional de-escalation everywhere, and also to make sure that the Americans projected military superiority because we believed in the benevolency of our democracy. The notion of telling other people to arm up and pay your fair share and do this, that, and the other thing our ancestors, and you can read The Guns of August, or you can study Dean Atkinson's book, our ancestors stood that by arming up, people end up using the arms. And they end up putting innocent people in harm's way. And what we know about the fog of war and the uncertainty of war, it never goes the way you expect, okay? Dick Cheney said 4 months we'll be out of Iraq. They put the mission accomplished signs up at the aircraft carrier in San Diego in 2003, May of 2003. The invasion started in March of 2003. We had the mission accomplished signs up. Okay, it's 18 years later. We've got 10,000 troops in Iraq right now trying to put down the sectarian violence. So I'm just saying, I mean, the point is someone's got to really look at it and analyze it and also have some historical context. You know, I asked the president once on the campaign, do you know what the Sykes-Picot Treaty is? Anybody know what the Sykes-Picot Treaty is? Raise your hand if you know what the Sykes-Picot Treaty is. Nobody knows. Treaty was put in place 100 years ago. I know you're going to interrupt. I have no idea.
He's told me 5,000
But I'm just saying, if you don't know what the Sykes-Picot Treaty is, put in place 100 years ago, designed to create a border dispute everywhere in the Middle East, if you don't know that, and now you're watching this thing play out because it's all tribalism, bring somebody in that can actually explain it to you and then offer you a policy solution that can contain and suppress the violence. Because if it goes full-on kinetic, American troops are going to be involved again. There may probably people's families here that are going to be affected. We're fatigued from 18 years of war. So we're going to fight the Iranians now. You can't even get the troops in a position to go after the Iranians.
I don't think it's going to escalate to that. I think, look, one of the things that Donald Trump did run on was he's not an interventionist. He doesn't want to, be in wars all over the world. He doesn't want to do all that stuff. I don't think it will. I hear your concern, and it's a legitimate concern, and your critique is a legitimate critique, but you knew this. You knew this 2 years ago that he wasn't able to work with people in and around him.
Well, okay, so again, I just can tell you my life experience. We didn't think he was going to win. There's not one person on the campaign thought he was going to win, including him, if you really want to tell the truth. The day after he won, we met with him. He put the transition team together, which I was on. And at that point, he was probably scared out of his mind. So he was listening to people.
Okay.
Okay, and he did put Mattis in place, and he did put Tillerson. People forget about him, but Tillerson was a very accomplished guy.
Dumb as a rock.
Okay, until Trump started demeaning him because of the low self-esteem. He's got to demean every single person in the room around him, right? Because he feels terrible about himself. He's looking at you saying, wow, you're more accomplished than me. Let me take you down to my size. Self-esteem of a small pigeon. Let me take you down to my size. So then people had to leave.
Yeah.
Okay, and so now you're surrounded by sycophants and enablers. You tell me. I think it's a recipe for a disaster for the United States. And I love the country, don't care about the partisanship of the whole thing. Let's tell the people the truth, then they can make an informed decision.
Okay, so I no longer watch or read the news because it's just too much for me. So I read things like this story, Sid. I'm going to ask you what you think about this woman swallowing her engagement ring. Did you read this?
I saw that.
Because you read the Post, so that was in the Post.
So
in a dream,
Is that bad for the husband, though, baby? I'm just asking. She's eating the ring.
No, she
which
thought
means
she
it's coming
was...
out in her poopy, so I'm just saying that's probably bad for the husband.
She's coming out in the what? What did he say?
Coming out of her poop, I think he
if
said.
I'm swallowing the ring, it's coming out of my poopies.
Yeah.
No, she had it removed before that happened. She was having an intense dream where she thought she was like on some Mission Impossible train and she was being hijacked, so she swallowed it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I wouldn't be angry about that.
Would you upset with you?
With Danielle,
wife
would you
if
be
she
mad at
ate
her?
her wedding ring and then like
if she ate my wedding ring, would I be upset with my wife?
No, you would laugh. It's kind of funny.
Look, here's the thing with my wife.
Is there some metaphorical significance to that?
No, she
Here's
was
the thing with my
having a
wife.
dream.
And I think a lot of guys can appreciate this.
She definitely took some Ambien.
She's supposed to be here tonight, my
Something.
wife Danielle. And you guys both know Danielle.
Yes,
You both like
and
her.
I like her
so
a lot.
and she loves you guys too. So I get an email from Danielle, like
She's
5
the
minutes
stable
ago.
genius in the relationship.
She is.
I'm the stable genius in my relationship.
You know, it's very similar.
That's true.
The dynamic is very similar.
Yeah.
So she sends me an email 5 minutes ago. She goes, I'm on the way home. I'm not going to make it. So the first thing I think of is, oh shit, what did I do? I swear to God.
Aww.
I'm like, she's mad at me. Damn it, what did I do now? And and I'm married for 27 years. There's not a time or a day that goes by when my wife doesn't do something like that when I start to freak out. And I'm not sure if that's a guilty conscience or if in fact I really screwed up. But that's where I am with Danielle. So she can swallow the ring. She can smack up the car. She can fly to Hawaii tomorrow and not tell me about it and spend 20 grand.
And
as
you're
long
fine
as
with that.
if
As
she
long as
says,
she's
"I
not
love
mad
it's
at you and she loves
right.
you.
Babe,
Yeah.
please don't go to Hawaii with her. Okay?
That my biggest fear in life is not is not work. It's not even disease. It's Danielle being mad at me. I don't know about you, Anthony, but I can't handle it. I don't know how to handle. I don't know
That
what
is
to do.
a sign of true love.
I can't handle.
Or fear. Chaz Palminteri
There's a
once
lot
said,
of
"Is it
fear
better to
involved
be
in
feared
true
or be
love.
loved?" Right? Exactly. So
Trust me, there's a
My
lot of fear in
assistant's
true
in the
love.
back. She has a personal relationship with Manhasset florist, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, we get more.
Yeah, I
flower
get a lot of
deliveries than a
flowers.
funeral.
But it's a
But
good
Sid,
thing because
before we
our
let you go,
sons
'cause he's
think that's a
playing-
nice thing to do
Neil's
now.
playing the music. You've been in radio for how many years?
I've been in the radio now for 22 years.
Does my wife have the chops?
She is awesome. She's got a great sense of humor. She's smart. Her timing is perfect. She should be on TV because she's gorgeous.
Oh,
but
thanks, Sid.
she's great on the radio. Great. One quick thing.
That's why Sid's on the radio. He knows what to
Before
say.
Neil lets me go, the Giants today benched Eli Manning. And if you're not a sports fan, you don't care, but if you do, you care. So they're going to start this rookie, Daniel Jones, out of Duke. 2004, the Giants named Eli Manning the starting quarterback in like week 9, Anthony. They had a very good veteran quarterback, a Hall of Famer in Kurt Warner, and Tom Coughlin just benched him. They had a winning record. He went to the rookie, Eli Manning. I remember it so well because my daughter was born right then.
You
My
tweeted
first
that this
child,
morning. I
Eva,
saw
was
that.
born
I saw
right
that
there.
on your Twitter feed.
Yeah. That was my last full year at WFAM when I made the transition from sports to politics and news, and my daughter was born that year. So that's how long Eli Manning has been around with the Giants. She's about to have a Sweet 16.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that crazy?
Amen.
Yeah.
We talk
Well,
about
God bless
longevity.
Eli Manning, though. He had a great run in New York, so God bless him. And your best run is yet to come, man. God bless you.
Thank you
And
so
guys,
much.
thank you very much. We got food, drinks, everything. Let's hang out. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for being here.